I am your 2021-2022 state president, and today I'm here in the office with Steve Dye, the president and CEO of Off the Wall Advertising, in-house advertising, and Firefly Digital. So we'll be getting to know a little about his entrepreneurial spirit and asking some questions that can help you maximize your efforts in becoming young entrepreneurs as you emerge from your university into the real world. So, Steve, would you mind giving us a brief introduction about who you are and what role you play here?
Okay. So, yes, I started this company, Off the Wall Advertising, actually started in 1993 as a hobby company, which we put billboards in restrooms. You've probably seen it because of the captive audience. And then in 1998, we started the full-service advertising agency. And then in 2012, we got involved with outdoor billboards, which is part of the Firefly network.
Awesome. Cool. So thank you for sharing a bit about your tasks there and kind of how you started. So as far as entrepreneurship, what are some words of wisdom to any young students with the desire to become a president or a CEO of their own company someday? Any words of wisdom that you really wish you knew back when you were starting?
I don't know how much wisdom there is out there, but I think one of the things that is lost in the current generation is really, I think that Gadwell talked about being an outlier. To be great at anything really takes 10,000 hours. So many of us think that you're a prodigy or that you have a knack for something and don't realize that many times, even a young child that says, they were always a prodigy on the piano. Well, typically what happened is that they had an interest in something. What it may be drawing, it may be graphics, it may be speaking, and then typically somebody encourages you to practice that, whether it's DECA or again graphics or marketing as I'm in. Really, then you develop a passion for it and you put the time in to become great at it. I think so many times we lose to the entrepreneurial spirit of apprenticeship. Everybody, it seems like, wants to be instantly famous, wants to be instantly rich, and we forget about all the time and effort that it takes to, pay your dues. Is kind of cliche-ish, but I don't think anybody becomes great at something without really practicing it or becoming proficient at it. So the words of encouragement that I would have to you is whatever that your passion is, put the time into it, put the effort into it, and find out, explore that opportunity. You may have natural abilities in it, but I think more than that would be that your ability to stick with something, persistence and determination to become great is going to take you a lot further than any perceived talent that you may have in a certain area.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. And I'm sure our listeners can take some of that information and apply it to their own journey. They want to be in the business world. But I know things aren't always easy. So do you want to touch on a few of the hurdles that you found to be difficult in creating a successfully run agency?
Sure. Absolutely. We've done it for a long time, and I think our struggles in the beginning continue to be our same challenges, and that is to find, recruit, train, and retain great people. Our staff is the best that we've ever had, and that makes our business processes that much easier. I think too is that if I look back, I wanted to control everything and not delegate, not give people the opportunity to take control or to run things and manage things themselves. I was afraid to do that. And I think as you get more mature or more comfortable in that, you realize that if you do a good job of explaining things and creating processes for your company, people don't need as much hand-holding as you may think that they do.
That's very true, something I struggle with as well sometimes. So definitely something you have to think about when you're in kind of a leadership position, such as being such a prominent person in DECA, being the state president. That's something that I've had to deal with too, learning how to delegate. And so I think that's very insightful and important to hear about those struggles on your way to success. And I know sometimes people will give up before that rewarding stage of starting a business. Can you speak on what kept you motivated during the startup process?
You know, I think there has to be an internal drive and persistent. You know, part of and everybody says again, cliche-ish, that it's the journey that you have to go through, and I think as time goes on, you embrace that more and more. But there's going to be a lot of struggles. I guess it's just everybody's got their own personality, but passion keeps you into the. If you can keep your eye on the ball of what your end goal is, and you can make progress. We always talk about 1% a day. Can you get better 1% a day? Can you move towards your goal? You become successful the moment you start moving towards your goal. There is no status quo. So either you're getting closer to what you want to do or you're drifting farther apart. And that's something that everybody, again, has to be honest with themselves.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Steve. I think that's some great motivation as well, and I like that 1% better every day analogy. And so I just want to open up. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch on, or give advice about, or ask, or start a conversation about for the young emerging leaders and entrepreneurs coming from Minnesota Collegiate DECA?
You guys have a wonderful program, and I know everybody works very hard at going and doing competitions. And so more than most people coming out of college, you probably understand what it is to work through that process. Here too, we still as marketers and advertisers, we try to be creative. I think one of the pitfalls is not being afraid to rewrite things, to redo things. Everybody wants to get it right the first time. And if you know anybody that's a novelist or somebody that's write a screenplay or somebody that's an actor or any type of creative, typically, you know, you redo it over and over again until you get it down. And I would encourage you to not be afraid to start over or to change things as you go. The last thing that I would say would be is keep reading. I find that books keep me on point, they keep me feed my mind with positive things. I'm always learning new experiences. And even going back and rereading books because I forget about things that I read about before. So I find myself with a number of leadership or positive books really going back to them as reference to keep me on that path and keep believing in what I'm doing.
I think that's awesome. I've actually started kind of reading a little bit more in my free time now that I'm on winter break and everything, so I'm not forced to read anything for school, but yeah, that's great. Do you have a book that you're reading right now or rereading?
Yeah, I read Culture Code quite a bit.
Okay.
That's I think it's Daniel Coyle.
Okay.
Talks about how to build teams, how to get people to work together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Steve, thank you very much for taking some time away from your work day to give our listeners a leg up on their competition as they build their futures and hopefully become inspiring role models just like yourself. Until next time.